we are going to be talking about one thing that is really holding guys back in terms of getting women to chase them. And the inspiration for this episode came from a question/story that was posted in my Trips Corner group, which I'm going to talk about in just a bit. Of course, this person will remain anonymous, and I'll do my best to read the question so it doesn't come off with anything personal. We're talking about one thing that guys are doing that's really ruining it. And it's something I've talked about before in the podcast, but the reason why I'm bringing it up again is because, well, like I said, this inspired me, but it almost feels like this is a conversation that needs to be had over and over again, because a lot of guys are doing this. And I feel like this is an epidemic that's happening right now, meaning there is a lot of false information going on about what gets a girl attracted, what gets her chasing you. And it's being broadcast every single day. And I know I'm really building it up here, but I'm going to build it up even more because we're going to get to it in just a second. Now, I know guys who are in Trips Corner are getting their questions answered. In fact, this question that I'm answering here today is, I did a little video on it yesterday and I posted that in Trips Corner. There's not only myself and 1,800 guys, but 3 other coaches in there. So anyone who joins Trips Corner, the private Facebook group, and joins this community gets their questions answered and gets help. Sometimes it's amazing. The guys in there are just, sometimes people are asking questions and before a coach can even get to it, you got other people answering it and giving great advice. And then I just go in there and go, this, right? I just give a big capital this to one of the comments because people are giving really great advice. So you get a lot of support in there. And in order to get in Trips Corner, it's as simple as you can get one of the courses that I have to offer, or if you get into the coaching program, whatever you decide to do, you get in via that investment. So if you end up getting hooked, for example, you're in. There is a tab inside the members area where you can go and get access to Trips Corner. If you end up joining the coaching program, then you'll also get access to the private members area that I have on my website, and you'll see a tab, Trips Corner. So either way, you can get help, whether you're looking for a bigger coaching program or just getting the video course. I have some people who just get that video course because they just want to be part of the community. That's fine too. I don't care. Get in there. It's awesome. Love having new people. We're welcoming people in there probably every day for sure. And I'd say on average, maybe about 2 to 3 people are joining every single day. And it sounds funny, like, man, that sounds like a lot. Does it just get, too crazy? If you think about Facebook groups, actually, the biggest problem with Facebook groups is not enough activity. That's one of the biggest concerns that I have about Facebook groups from people who I talk to, and myself included. I've been part of Facebook groups for many years. You know what happens? Eventually it dies. So a Facebook group starts, you get a bunch of people in there, they get excited, and then it dies. Trips Corner has been around for 5 years, and it's probably the most active it's ever been. So you can be sure that when you get in there, not only can you be a voyeur and check out what other people are asking and what people are commenting, but you know that if you ask a question in there, then you will get it answered. All right, bear with me here because I'm going to be reading this. I did not edit it to take out anything personal. Hey guys, I have a question. I've been dating an amazing woman for the past 2 months, and at the end of the last visit, she said she doesn't think we should see each other anymore. The reason she gave is confusing to me, and said she doesn't want to be with someone who isn't in her spiritual community. Meditation, not religion. More specifically, she said she doesn't want to be having deeper conversations with her community than she can have with her partner. These are almost her exact words. This confuses me because I consider myself a spiritual person. I don't have a classical meditation practice, but spirituality was a huge part of my last relationship, and it was very deep. I asked my previous partner if our conversations were deep, and the answer was a resounding yes. So listen up. This is the most important part. A few days before she told me she didn't think we should continue dating because of the spiritual community thing, she told me that she decided we shouldn't continue dating because of something she realized, and she didn't want to tell me why. When pressed, she agreed to tell me. It turned out that during some of our conversations, I had gone into elaborate stories of my past, and she felt that she had to, quote, hold space for me in this place, even though I was simply excited to be telling her a story. We talked about that, and she realized that it was just her stuff coming up, that I didn't need space to be held for me. And then she completely relaxed about it, and it became a non-issue. The fact that she was willing to close the door on our relationship for a reason like this without even telling me what it was definitely doesn't make me feel safe in our relationship. Ultimately, I want to be with the woman who is leaning in instead of looking for reasons why we shouldn't be together. We're going to comment on that in just a bit. Of course, I don't know exactly what happened that turned her off. We don't have the 100% facts here. However, with what I'm seeing here, there is a lesson to be extracted. So whether or not what I explain here is the reason, still it's important for you to learn. But I have a strong hunch after years in this field, learning this stuff, talking to guys, I'm pretty sure I know what went wrong here. Okay. And there's a very key sentence that triggered this whole thought for me. So he said here, he wrote, she felt that she had to hold space for me in this place, even though I was simply excited to be telling her a story. So my fear is that whatever happened here, this person was being overly vulnerable. And you can tell because one of the things that he says is that these conversations are deep and that she has a problem with the fact that she's having more deeper conversations in her spiritual community than with him. So what happened is he probably went deep, he probably got too vulnerable, and he probably said some things that turned her off. So on her end, it's a little bit of a be careful what you wish for situation. She probably wanted that. Women crave that vulnerability, but you have to understand, and this is the key point of today's episode, just because a woman says something like this or says what's attractive to her doesn't mean it's actually true. So when she says, I like a guy who's vulnerable, I like a guy who's sensitive, I like a guy who can cry. This is a first here. I've never said this before, but my interpretation of that is that when a man is vulnerable, when a man cries, when a man gets overly sensitive, it's not the sensitivity part that she likes. You know what she really likes there? The chase is over for her. It's like she has him. Like a woman knows when a guy gets that deep, she's got him. And of course, that feels good to her that she has him, right? That's the whole thing that a woman's trying to do. She's trying to get a guy to stick around. So she knows, okay, once we can get him to vulnerable stage, he's going to stick around. It almost makes her just feel nice and good inside. But again, the problem here is even though she feels like, I got him. He's here to stay. That doesn't mean that she's going to continuously be attracted. It's almost as if like an analogy would be you achieved the goal that you wanted to achieve, and now you kind of don't care, and you're like, now what? And I'm sure that's happened to you in life. It's happened to me. It's like you achieved that goal, you did all this work, it's fun going through the process, and then you get it and you're happy, but then you're like, all right, what's next? So back to what a man should be doing in this situation, because we're not coaching women here, but you still have to understand what this process is all about. So, okay, she feels like she got him. She feels that moment of, wow, he's really attracted to me. I have him. But then the actual breakdown of a cry, and this guy didn't cry, just to be clear here, but these are all examples of what he did, all examples of vulnerability. So breaking down, telling your sensitive stories, all those things. As much as we want to do that, and we want to do that to become closer to a woman, it's going to bite you in the butt because she's going to see a feminine side of you. Now, for all the feminists who are probably listening to this, they would call what I'm saying toxic masculinity. Call it what you want. This is the real deal of what works and what doesn't work. And then you'll get your people who will say, or women who will say, well, no, I'm married to a man right now and he's cried in front of me and we're still together and I love him. Okay. Yeah. There's always exceptions. And I just have a hunch that if that guy was crying every single week and being super overly emotional and sensitive every single week and being super vulnerable and telling all their dark stories every single week or every single day, this could be sure to turn a woman off. So then people ask, well, how much should I do that? I don't have the answer. I don't know. I don't know how much. Probably never is the real answer that is more practical. So never what? Well, don't be telling her all of your dark, traumatic stories from the past. And if you're going to say something like that, I would definitely not be saying, well, these are the things that I'm working on and da-da-da-da. It's like, it's one thing if you've solved it. It's like, yeah, I've had some traumatic things happen in my past, but now I'm all good. A woman's going to see strength in that. But if it's, no, I had problems with my dad and my mom, and they treated me like crap and this and that, and I'm still kind of working through it, and I'm working through the demons, and I'm just so glad I'm with you. And it's like, whoa. Women don't want to see that. They're looking for strength. They're looking for emotional strength. They want a guy who can be effective, who already has these things figured out. And as a man, it is okay to have these issues and these problems. You never want to hold it in. I think that's where the toxic masculinity thing comes into play. People go over the edge and say, oh, what? Well, then what? A guy's supposed to hold it in and never solve his problems, and he can't be emotional. No, of course you can be, and you will be. But doing it with your woman, not a good idea. Not a good idea. And so I think that's exactly what happened here with our friend in Tripp's Corner. I think, and again, I don't think that was the thing. I don't know if he wouldn't have done. I think that he was with a woman who maybe wanted more from him, and he was never going to be able to fulfill what she wanted, and she was just going to be out, and maybe she has some issues, and it just never was going to work out. But I guarantee that the over vulnerability and the sharing of whatever it is that he shared probably did not help his cause. I am almost sure of that. And what I'm 100% sure of is if you start to do those things in your relationships, or when you're just dating a woman, being overly sensitive and talking too much about your feelings or things that happened that were bad in the past, or your worries for the future, or just any kind of like negative feelings or concerns, or anything that makes it look like you don't have it handled, it's not going to make you look good. And I want to be really clear here. This sucks. Like, I'm not a fan of that. I wish it wasn't that way. But I know that in my life, when I change those things around, because I've been in relationships in the past where I was overly vulnerable, and then I've been in relationships where I wasn't. And I could just tell. In those ones where I wasn't overly vulnerable with her, and I'll give you some more examples in a second, but when I wasn't overly vulnerable with her, I could tell she was more attracted. I could just tell. Even Megan now, who I'm with, what she says to me all the time, she'll say it in front of me too, when we're like on double dates and triple dates. I love how Tripp just, always has it figured out, and he always has it handled, and he's able to, not get too stressed out. He never seems that stressed out. And of course, I'm human, right? So those things are happening, and I let her know that those things are happening, but I'm not going to show her. And I don't need to show her too. That's another thing. And this is my way of trying to be convincing to you here on this episode is I know that as men, we would like that. It's like one of the reasons why we have a relationship is because we get to be vulnerable and say some of those things and have those deep conversations about, I don't know, whatever, negative things that have happened, worries, concerns, all that. It'd be nice to have that. But unfortunately, gentlemen, it doesn't help your cause. So you need to have other outlets for that. To nicely bring this full circle, actually, now that I think about it, Tripp's Corner is one of those outlets, right? It's a group of men who are talking about this stuff, working on this stuff together, and we are open to hearing all of the things that are going on so we can help solve your problems and we can build each other up. Beyond Tripp's Corner, could be your guy friends, it could be an actual therapist. I would even hold back too a little bit. Now that as I say it out loud, I'd hold back a little bit on talking to your friends about some of this stuff. Once in a while, for sure. But doing it too much, it just becomes a lot. Doing it with your family too much just becomes a lot. If anything, more like brotherhood groups or therapists that you hire probably are the best if we had to put it in order of like who to talk about some of those emotions and things with and problems to solve. So... or specific people that maybe you're in masterminds with. Maybe you do have a couple of friends or a couple of people in related businesses where you guys set aside that time where it's like, hey, we're gonna get deep and we're gonna talk about some of these issues. Where everyone is encouraged to do so, and it's not like your friend being like, oh my God, like, man, Tripp every day comes to me with all this stuff. I feel like I'm just this soundboard to all of his complaining, right? Probably not the best thing to kind of leech too much value from your friends like that. Again, exceptions are totally fine. You're going to talk to your friends about the hard times. Hey, you're going to talk to your girlfriend, your wife one day, or the girls you're dating, maybe about some hard stuff. Shit's going to happen, right? Someone in your life is going to die, is going to pass away. You're going to get fired from your job. There's going to be a natural disaster. I don't know. Things happen in life. Well, listen. It's fine. Exceptions happen. Those can happen. You don't have to bat 100% that your girlfriend doesn't see you cry. Things are going to come up. But I would be very careful with how often you let that happen. So if I were to summarize what I'm saying here in terms of vulnerability, and the practical advice is don't let your partner or the girl you're dating be your therapist, even if she's begging you to be that person. I think it might be a little bit different if she acts that way with you. I don't think men are as affected by the vulnerabilities of a woman versus a woman and how she views a man. And this gets confusing these days because, like I said earlier, society is really pushing for men to be more vulnerable, which again is fine, but you got to pick and choose who you're going to do that with. And there are a lot of women out there who have complained about this exact thing. It's like, and I've seen this on YouTube videos. They say, once I saw my man cry, I was like, I couldn't go back. Like it was hard for me to see him in that masculine, strong role. It wasn't attractive for them to see that explosion and vomit of negative emotions. Now, of course, on the other end, you can still be vulnerable, but show happy emotions. So vulnerability is such a nebulous word. So we got to be careful here because you can be vulnerable and share really positive things. So I guess to be as specific as I can, we're just talking about some of those negative or darker, not so happy kind of feelings that you might be having and who you're sharing those with. But you come home and you're like, babe, been an amazing day. Got a raise at work, crushed my goals in the gym. We're going out tonight to celebrate. I'm just so freaking happy. Technically, that's vulnerability in a sense, but I think we understand what I'm talking about here and the things to avoid.